A key part of getting started in Vectorworks is understanding the selection of objects and the various cursor icons displayed. I'll choose the 2D selection tool and make sure this second mode button is selected. To select a single object, I simply click on the shape. I know the object is selected because its handles are visible and it's highlighted with this colored outline. By pressing the Shift key and continuing to click, more objects are added to the selection. The colored selection highlight is controlled in Vectorworks Preferences. It can be turned on or off, and the color and opacity of the highlight changed. This feature is particularly useful when editing a busy drawing that's dense with information. We'll leave it turned on for the training CDs and suggest you do the same. Objects can also be selected by making a marquee. Begin with the cursor a short distance away from the objects, then press the mouse button and drag across the objects to define a rectangular marquee. The selection tool's normal behavior is that objects must be entirely enclosed by the marquee to be selected. However, if the Option or Alt key is held down as I make the marquee, anything touched by the marquee becomes selected. Marquee selections can also be made using the lasso and polygon mode, which allow me to draw an irregularly shaped marquee around objects. The selection tool has different cursors to watch for. The snap-drag cursor, across, indicates that if the object is now moved with the cursor, it will be picked up from a precise snap point. To get the snap-drag cursor, move close to a handle or vertex point. The object doesn't need to be selected first. As soon as I click and drag, the object will be selected. When the cursor is along the edge of an object, the object snap appears. The white arrow of the selection cursor indicates that the cursor is over the object but not at a specific snap point. The resize cursor, a diagonal double-ended arrow, indicates the object can be stretched from that point. An object must be selected before the resize cursor will appear. I can avoid accidentally resizing objects by choosing this first mode of the selection tool. Now I'll be able to move but not resize the object. The second mode of the 2D selection tool is the typical resize mode used. When a single object is selected, it can be resized with the cursor, but when multiple objects are chosen, they can only be moved, not resized. The third mode allows multiple objects to be resized. You might use this when you want to uniformly stretch a number of objects. These other two modes relate to how walls are resized and whether objects inserted into walls, such as doors and windows, are edited. There are a number of ways to move around the drawing window. The pan tool can be used by simply dragging in any direction. I can also pan while in the middle of drawing an object by moving the cursor to the area at the edge of the drawing window. Notice that if I move off the drawing area or on top of a palette, the auto-scrolling stops. The pan tool can also be activated by pressing the spacebar. This engages the boomerang mode and temporarily pauses the tool I was using so that I can adjust the view. While in boomerang mode, I can also use the zoom or flyover tool. When I release the spacebar, the original tool will be active again. Zoom tools can be used in 3 different ways. By double-clicking on the zoom tool, the zoom ratio is doubled, seen here in the view bar. A fast way to do this is to hit the C key twice. Notice that if any objects are selected when I double-click, the view will center on those objects. I can also zoom in by making a marquee. The view will be magnified so the area inside the marquee fills the drawing window. And I can use the zoom tool's interactive mode by dragging up to zoom in and down to zoom out. If your computer has a scroll mouse, the wheel can be used to zoom. Roll forwards to zoom in and backwards to zoom out. The view will be centered on the cursor. This is probably the fastest and most convenient way to zoom while drawing. If you don't use a wheel mouse, press Command-1 on Mac or Control-1 on Windows to double the zoom factor, and Command or Control-2 to halve the zoom. And don't forget that the view bar, which was discussed earlier, also has zoom options. If you click the zoom button, the magnification is doubled. Press the Alt key on Windows or the Option key on Mac and click the zoom button to decrease the zoom by half. You can also open the Zoom Factor menu and select a default zoom amount or enter a value in the field.